Many miles away in Israel, it was 11:15 in the morning. People were around the street doing business. At 11:15, the siren sound. Cars stopped in the middle of the street. People stopped in the streets. They'll stand together. Remember, please rise for a moment of silence. In Israel today, various communities of various sizes and compositions come together to remember and recognize the tremendous sacrifice made by real people to establish and secure the Jewish state. We too are having a commemorative ceremony. As the saying goes, far from heart, from sight, far from mind. In Israel, most people go to one or two ceremonies, or even none. Feel the thing very closely. They don't need name reminders. Here in Atlanta, this is the fourth ceremony I've been to today. Still getting there. We have 4 YA students and 2 films. To read you stories of soldiers that fell in each war. They'll have and they'll light a candle in remembrance of them. We'll have on the screen some background information about the soldiers themselves and the wars they fought in. Right? At the end of the service, we will end with a song demonstrating the spirit of self-sacrifice, prayer for the departed, and the taken. Thank you for war of independence. You guys.
Beni Berale fell in the War of Independence. When the War of Independence broke out, the Jews were hopelessly outnumbered. Men and women had to take up arms to defend their homeland, and children as young as 12 fought and died. European Jews placed in displaced person camps in Europe after surviving the ravages of the Holocaust boarded ships for the newly declared state of Israel. While still in the camps, they received training from Haganah members and in lieu of rifles, practiced shooting with sticks. One of these little-known heroes was Benny. We don't know much about Benny. In fact, we don't even know his real name. You see, Benny was the only member of his family to survive the Holocaust. He tried to make Aliyah to British-occupied Palestine, but was captured, put in the detention camp in Cyprus. In April of 1948, he finally made it to Eretz Yisrael and was immediately drafted into the Harel division and was sent to fight in Jerusalem. On May 1st, 1948, Benny fell in the Battle of St. Simon, securing southern Jerusalem from the Jordanian army. At his gravesite, his comrades in arms faced the problem. Since Benny didn't know any Hebrew, they never spoke with him and didn't even know his full name. What then to put on his tombstone? Then one of the soldiers remembered that he once saw Benny smile when he heard a children's song, Berali. And so Benny got a new last name, and his tombstone reads to this day, Benny Berali.
Ward Sinai, Rabbi Sam.
Yehuda Ken Dror fell in the war of Sinai. Yehuda was the strong silent type. After graduating from elementary school, where he learned gardening, he went off to work daily until he was drafted. When Yehuda was drafted, he volunteered to join the paratroopers, where after completing training and joining the platoon, he was made the company commander's personal driver. On Wednesday, October 31st, 1906, the 890 paratrooper company found itself pinned down in the Mitla Pass by the Suez Canal. The company commander, Lieutenant Colonel Aharon Davidi, realized that the only way to save the entire company was for one soldier to drive through the pass, drawing the enemy fire, so the rest of the company could pinpoint the sources of fire and take them out. However, the chances of survival were non-existent. Yehuda volunteered immediately, and without making much of a fuss, simply asked precisely what he must do, got in the Jeep, and drove to his death. The first bullet went through the windshield and scratched his forehead. But this didn't slow Yehuda down. Neither did the bullets hitting his hands, legs, and stomach. He only stopped when a burst from a machine gun hit the Jeep's engine. The rest of the paratrooper company took out the enemies, who gave away their position shooting at Yehuda, and late at night came to the Jeep to collect their fallen comrade. They were quite surprised to find him alive, gun in hand, and waiting for the enemy, despite the fact that he was writhing with pain. He was flown to the hospital where for 2 months, instead of his family cheering him up, he cheered them. On March 5th, 1957, Private Yehuda Ken Dror drew his last breath and died of his wounds. 16 years later, he was awarded posthumously the Medal of Courage, the highest medal in the Israeli army, and one of only 40 to ever receive it.
Shlomo Alton fell in the Six-Day War. Shlomo was born in 1927 to Avram and Esther Alton in Izmir, Turkey. After graduating from the Alliance and Business School, he made Aliyah in 1944. He joined the Palmash in 1946 and served in it until it was integrated into Tzahal. He was a commanding officer in Golani. When the Suez War broke out, he was sent to breach the Rafiach bunkers. He told his soldiers, "We must fight the war of independence. Since the war of independence, our nation has not had the opportunity to live the life of field and factory workers. Every day we are beset by robbery, murder, and sabotage, which is why Tzahal has decided to put a stop to the terrorism waged against us. This mission falls upon you." After the war, Shlomo went on to become the head of the IDF officer school, where he was known to pay close attention to the orphan soldiers. When the Six-Day War broke out, Shlomo gave up his post as the head of the officer school and went down to the front lines. On the second day of the war, he was mortally wounded. He passed away in the hospital on June 22nd, 1967, leaving behind a wife and 2 children.
Yom HaZikaron nearby.
Shlomo Arman fell in the Yom Kippur War. Shlomo was born to Esther and Abraham in the winter of 1953 in Haifa, where he went to school and excelled. Shlomo was drafted to the military in 1971 and assigned to Armored Corps, where he quickly became a tank commander and was stationed in Sinai. Shlomo was loved by all. His commanding officers took note of his integrity, professionalism, and responsibility, and his underlings loved him for being the only commander who was down to earth. On October 6, 1973, Shlomo commanded his division, after his commander had been killed. During the following day, he led the assault in his tank, firing from his sidearm, throwing grenades, and using the tank's main cannon to clear a path for his troops, until his tank ran into an ambush. He then led his crew on foot through enemy lines, carrying injured soldiers, which his division had picked up. After a day, he managed to bring his soldiers to safety, but didn't live to enjoy it himself. He was promoted to the rank of an officer and granted the Medal of Heroism.
Or the Lebanon War, here Alaska.
David Cohen fell in the Lebanon War. David Cohen was born on June of 1956 in Morocco. When he was 6, his family finally, after years of struggle, managed to make Aliyah and settle in Dimona. David finished grade school and went to the Boyer School for Gifted Children in Yerushalayim. David worked hard, excelled in school, and participated in virtually all the sports clubs, and would spend all his vacations working, as his family struggled to support him through school. David was drafted into the Army on August 1974, where he joined an elite unit, the Shaked Reconnaissance Company, from which he was quickly sent to officer school, from which he was sent to sub-commander of a paratrooper unit, and from there was sent to be in charge of the paratrooper training program. When it was time to leave the Army, his commanders just weren't willing to let him go, and convinced him to go back to officer school, this time as an instructor. In 1979, he went to the U.S. in order to take a Marine course. When he returned to the States, he married Orit, and then settled in his hometown, Dimona. He was made second in command of a battalion, and his friends were seeing General Stark's future. In 1982, right before the Lebanon War broke out, he decided to go on vacation with his wife and newly born daughter. But as they were driving, they noticed the increased military activity in the Galilee. David called division command and was told of the preparations for action. He returned his wife and daughter home and was given command of Juju Force. On the 20th of Sivan, June 11, 1982, Captain David Cohen fell in combat. He was granted the rank of major after his death. He left behind a wife, a daughter, parents, 3 brothers, and 3 sisters.
Who were born to her, Dahlia Chance.
Dror Weinberg fell in the War on Terror. Dror was a career military man. After he finished learning at Yeshiva, he joined the paratroopers, moved on to Seyeret Matkal, one of the most elite units in Sahel, and became head of one of its teams. From there, he moved on to become the commanding officer of a paratrooper battalion, and then the head of the Hebron forces. In 2002, he was appointed head of the entire paratrooper brigade, a post which traditionally leads to becoming a general. Dror would have been the first religious officer to fill this post, but he never got this chance. On Friday night, November 15, 2002, prayers leaving Marat Machpelah ran into an ambush. Dror, who was at his office, heard the shots and rushed to the scene. There, he took command of the already raging firefight, which claimed his life along with 11 others. Colonel Dror Weinberg left behind 5 children, aged 3 to 14, and a pregnant wife, and is to date the highest-ranking officer to be killed in the Intifada.
The following song, showing the spirit of camaraderie and self-sacrifice, is based on one true story and a few similar ones in so many. A ballad to the medic, Ballad al Khudash. הם התקדמו לאט, הכל היה רגוע, מנגד הנהר, וגומי מרשמש, פתאום רעם ברק, אחד צעק פצוע, אני לבד, ענה לו ברד של אש איתך, ברד כבד קטוע, מעבר לנהר, לגומי הרוחש, תשאיר אותי כאן, ביקש אז הפצוע, עזוב שטויות, ענה לו החודש, תציל את עצמך, ביקש אז הפצוע, אני נשאר איתך, ענה לו החודש. והם נותרו שניהם, והשדה פתוח, והם נותרו שניהם, והם גלויים לאש. אנחנו עדיין מלמד הפצוע, אחוז ביתו, ענה לו החודש. נפצעת גם אתה, מלמד הפצוע, אז זה לא נורא, ענה לו החודש. האש כבדה כבדה, קשה קשה תנוע, רק לא להתייאש, רק לא להתייאש, אזכור אותך תמיד, נשבע אז הפצוע, רק לא מלמד אז החודש, שלך עד יום מותך, Please rise for prayer of Yisrael. יזכור אלוהים את נשמות חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, שמסרו נפשם על קדושת השם, העם והארץ, נפלו מות גיבורים בתפקידי שחרור, הגנה וביטחון. לנשארים כלו, מאריות גברו, לחלצם לעזרת העם, וירבו בדמם הטהור את רכבי אדמת קודשנו. זכר הקהלתם ומעשה גבורתם לא יסופו מאיתנו לעולמים. יזכור עם ישראל את בניו ובנותיו, הנאמנים והאמיצים, חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל וכל לוחמי המחתרות, וחטיבות הלוחמים במערכות העם, וכל אנשי קהיליית המודיעין והביטחון, ואנשי משטרה אשר חירפו נפשם במלחמה על תקומת ישראל, וכל אלה שנרצחו בארץ ומחוץ לה בידי מרצחים מארגוני הטרור. יזכור ישראל ויתברך בזרעו, ויאבד על זיו העלומים בחמדת הגבורה וקדושת הרצון ומסירות הנפש אשר נספו במערכות הגבורה, במערכה הכבדה. יהיו חללי מערכות ישראל עטורי הניצחון, הכתובים בלב ישראל לדור ודור. תהיינה נשמותיהן צורות בצרור החיים, עם נשמות אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, ועם נשמות שאר גיבורי ישראל וקדושיו שבגן עדן, ונאמר אמן. In a few moments, we'll be making a sharp transition from this very sad day to the festivities of Yom HaZikaron. This transition was made on purpose to remind us the true meaning of his sacrifice. The state of Israel. As the poet Natan Alterman said, the state of Israel was given to us in the silver platter, and this is it.